Hello guys, today's episode is about dyslexia and self-esteem, about how they are related and how are they together and things we can work on to really improve these areas. Guys, I really take self-esteem really seriously, and it's a lot of area I spent a lot of time and a lot of effort doing researching and improving so I can help other people, because I feel it's such a big need and a critical thing out there that people need to help. So anyway, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share, please subscribe, please get this message out there to as many people as possible. So the big question is this: how can dyslexics like us create a place, a community, a tribe, where people at any stage of life can come and solve any challenge, amplify their strengths, and ultimately help them become who they were meant to be? Or in other words, conquer their dyslexia. That is the question, and this show is the answer. My name's Theo Goff, and welcome to the Conquering Dyslexia podcast. Hello guys, I hope we're doing good and alright. And first off, I want to say that I'm excited to be on here today. The last few days I haven't done this, and it's kind of a silly little story, but I lost my headphones that kind of has the speaker into it, and I didn't want to do it because I wanted to have it this format. I didn't feel like changing it. I was wondering if I lost my headphones, should I get a new one? But anyway, my mum found my headphones, so that's why I'm really excited and pumped to talk about what I want to talk about today. And it's really about dyslexia and self-esteem and how those two correlate really, together. Now, I'm first off saying that, nearly everyone, can't say everyone, but I say nearly everyone I'm basically met saying about this, saying about how dyslexia affects self-esteem, and everyone I met has had times in their life that their self-esteem was to the floor. They had no self-esteem. They had very little. They felt really bad about themselves. They thought really bad things about themselves. They believed they weren't confident. They couldn't do these things. They couldn't express themselves. They believed they had low ability. And really realizing how looking at dyslexia and self-esteem together, really realizing there's a massive correlation to this. And I know in my own life, growing up in this dyslexic school, cottoned off and nestled from the rest of the world, moved from that school into a big school, self-esteem was through the floor. My pronunciation, I stutter, speech impediment, couldn't remember anyone's name, got lost, around the school so many times, and I slowly became so shy. I didn't know how to talk to people. I couldn't understand social structure and social groups and things like that, and nothing made any sense to me. And I came in there really confident. Within a few months, when people used to look at me, I used to get butterflies. I hated every single day. I felt so odd. I felt so, like the odd one out, can't fit in, can't do this, can't do that. And to say that was because of my dyslexia is really tempting. And it made so much sense that but back then I was extremely shy. I had crippling social anxiety, you would call it. And to say that was because of my dyslexia may seem accurate. It seems accurate at the time. But if I had to look back and actually say, okay, is that because of my dyslexia? Partly, but the answer is basically no. I didn't feel that's because of my dyslexia. And when we really come down to it, so self-esteem is correlated, low self-esteem is correlated with dyslexia massively, but we don't have low self-esteem because we have dyslexia. What is dyslexia? It's basically how our brain is wired slightly differently. Our neurons are wired slightly differently. Our brain works differently. It works with pictures, works with 3D thinking, making connections, seeing things from a broad point of view, and so many other things. And it affects us in so many different ways. And communicating and expressing our ideas and feeling confident about ourselves, no, not feeling confident, communicating ideas, seeing things from a certain point of view, and having certain abilities in the classroom. That's what dyslexia affects. Okay, it makes us different in these abilities. Yes, we're different. So yes, it can be hard to keep track of the conversation. Things can be hard, but does that mean we have low self-esteem? No. Now, how can we kind of prove this in a sense? Not when I say prove it. So basically, if you had someone with dyslexia, someone with dyslexia, you know that they're going to have maybe find certain social situations are a bit more difficult than others because of the information they can take in and how they take it in is different. But is that to say this person that feel like crap about himself? No, that person won't feel. There's no guarantee that person will feel crap about themselves. The only reason why we feel crap about ourselves is because of the story we tell ourselves. It's because of our own mind. Our own mind makes meanings and makes decisions, and we all have this. Dyslexia, not dyslexia, we all have our own mind, we all have our own critical thinking that makes meanings out of situations that says, oh yeah, this is because I'm stupid, this is because I'm dumb, this is because of this, because of that. And that's our mind making these distinctions, not our dyslexia. Not the reason why our brain is differently. That's not making those. So to say that dyslexia and self-esteem is basically they're correlated but just because you've got dyslexia does not mean you have low self-esteem. And once we're talking to this and once we're discussing all this, all these dyslexics out there, they can realise that there's a difference. I don't have low self-esteem because of my dyslexia. It's a part of it. Now, I know, when we're going through absolute hell, when it's awful, we think dyslexia is the worst thing in the world, and because we've got dyslexia, or we may not call it dyslexia, call it whatever we want, and we think it's the worst thing in the world, we're different, we're dumb, we're stupid, we're awkward, I think I'm not going to communicate with that. I'm not that sort of person. I think that's because our dyslexia, that's completely false. It's completely wrong. Whether you're diagnosed with dyslexia or not, it doesn't matter. Your brain's wired differently. And how you use that counts. And how you judge yourself by it. Now, what I mean by when I say judge ourselves, I mean saying that what do certain situations mean? When we're in a social situation where people are talking, 3, 4 people, new people, and you're finding it hard to socialise, does that, when you're judging yourself, does that mean that because you're stupid? Does that mean because you're dumb? Does that mean that you can't keep track of social conversations? Does that mean you can't have friends? How we judge ourselves in those situations makes us, have low esteem, makes us not believe in ourselves. So I'll judge ourselves, and oftentimes after the situation happens, we still are judging ourselves. Why did I do that stupid thing? Why did that happen? What does this mean? And when we judge ourselves, when we ask the meaning from it, we can start pulling these negative meanings. And from these negative meanings, recreating this belief about ourselves. And beat down. And then before having my muscles, my face out on the way home in the bus because I never opened them, I never smiled, I never done anything. From loads of other dyslexics believing they can't take their shot, they can't do these things, they hate school, they don't want to get a job, they don't believe in themselves, and finding different avenues to go down. Drugs, alcohol, this, that, and crime, all these other strains because of the voices they tell themselves. Now, yes, you may say, oh, that's the environment. The environment are saying all these things onto them. Well, yeah, but look, the environment is saying that, but it's our own internal talk affects us more because the environment, of course, the environment affects us, but we have to go in our brain and kind of have to say, okay, I believe in this, and do it. For example, you say some 4 or 5-year-old come up to you and just say the most horrible things. You're stupid. You're dumb. You can't do it. Do you believe them? No. It won't affect you. But say your boss, your spouse, whoever, mum, dad, whoever, said these things, you might believe it a hell lot more. And it's because of what it means to us. Does that make sense, guys? So I really want this episode, and by the way, guys, I think self-esteem, confidence is out in a world. This is the worst thing about dyslexia, worst thing, best thing, most critical thing that you have to understand about how dyslexia affects us in a sense. Because how we feel about ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, affects what we do. Way much more than our dyslexic abilities does. If you believe you can't do something, if you believe you can't do that, if you believe you'll never get that grade, believe you'll never become this person, talk to that person, then we won't do the actions necessary to do it. And our dyslexia, it stops us way less than our beliefs, way less than our mindset and all of this. And that's the limiting factor. And what stops that is our self-esteem. What stops that is our beliefs about ourselves. So this area I take very, very seriously. And I spent a lot of time working on myself and then really trying to understand it so I can try and help other people doing that. So please do not take what I'm saying lightly or with a pinch of salt. Take it sort of like say, okay, this is important, and realize, look, your dyslexia doesn't cause you to have low self-esteem, you do. You cause yourself to have low self-esteem. Don't take that in a bad way, bad negative way. Oh, what do you mean it's me? Well, I had a bad past. You mean no one taught me to do these things? I had a rubbish growing up, rubbish schooling, rubbish this, rubbish that. Of course, that's fine, but I have to realize that in order to get to where you want to go, in order to get to a new place in life, you have to do different things. Because this is the analogy I said to myself when I finally realised the thing. I've got to take responsibility of my life. And this is where I was in my basic public school. Loads of people in the school feel so rubbish and crap about myself, about what should I do? I don't want to feel like this anymore. I realised something. Ultimately, I got to take responsibility for my life. Ultimately, I got myself here. Yes, I had certain situations, but I took certain actions to not be confident, to not push myself. And in order to get to where I want to go, I have to take new actions. I have to do new things. And that's the basis of it. And once I understand that, I was like, oh my God, I can do it. So realize this, saying, I've got low confidence, I've got low that. The only way you'll get confidence is by doing new things. And yes, the past may not be nice. Yes, it's unfair. Yes, it's this, yes, and that. But the only way you can get to where you want to go is by doing new stuff, taking new actions, being confident. You want to be confident, take new actions towards being confident. And that's the real process of it, and that's it. And guess what? The actions are not, okay, I'm going to cure my dyslexia. Okay, I'm going to start reading, start writing, and because that is what I feel insecure about. So we'll start doing those things. No, you've tried to improve it all your life, but you haven't. So don't think you can magically do it instantly. Start working on your actual confidence. And how do you do that? Do things that scare you. Do things that you wouldn't before previously have done. Because one thing that keeps us behaving the way that we behave is our identity of ourselves. Basically, what our identity is. Because we behaved in a certain way in the past and got feedback from it a certain way in the past, we can say, okay, this is who I am. This is who I am in these situations. So start doing new things, and that will start changing your identity. Oh, I've done that, I can do that. And like, for example, the best way I've done it is I had a quote, I had a saying. I do something that scares me. Try and do something every day that scares me. Do something every day that takes me outside my comfort zone. So I start realizing, oh my God, if I can do this, now what can I do? I was scared to this little action, and I've done that. I've done that multiple times, day after day after day. Now what can I do? One thing I've done is said hello to 20 random people each day. Said hello to 20 random people. And I was like traveling to boxing in like Victoria Station, which is like big, busy train station. What random people busy going to work? Hello. To all these random people, scary as anything. But after the 5th day, I was fine with it. Because I kept on practicing that muscle. I thought, if I can do that, what else can I do? And within a month, people were like, in school, people were like, who are you and what you've done with Theo? Because I was moved from this shy, nervous boy who wouldn't speak for anything to this confident person who's cracking jokes. And I only did that by taking one step forward and taking one new action into being more confident. And it's a confidence game. It's not a reading game. It's not a writing game. It's not a dyslexia game. It's a confidence game. You have to do things to be more confident. And that's how the shortest, fastest, simplest way can help improve your self-esteem. So I want to backtrack. Okay, we understand about self-esteem and how it relates to dyslexia. How loads of people with dyslexia has low self-esteem at some point in their lives, but because you're dyslexic doesn't mean you will have self-esteem. Self-esteem is easily low self-esteem is easily curable in a sense, curable. But here's the steps: realizing it's not a dyslexia problem; it's a you problem. You can fix it. It's up to you to do it by taking new actions. First thing. Second thing, after realizing it's a you problem, is believing it's 100% possible. You have to believe that you can do it. Believe it's attainable and believe that you can do it. You really want to do it and only you can do it. No one else can do it for you. And after you believe that, you have to do something that scares you, something little. Say hi to that random person. This is like a good little tip I use. For example, if you're really nervous in work, really nervous at home, really nervous in school, find a kind of new environment to test in. Because it's incredibly hard to do something different in school, in the social situation where everyone has their opinion of you. And because everyone has their opinion of you, you really want to stay consistent with that opinion and with the opinion you have of yourself. So the best way to change this is get to a new environment where no one knows you, no one has idea about who you are, and act in a certain way there. Because you can act in a certain way there, and you build up that muscle of doing things that scare you, you can slowly start to bring that into these environments like work, like, school, whatever, so you can be more confident. So that's a little tip of doing that. But if you do something that scares you, best thing, find a new environment, go to a club, go to this, do it with people that don't have an identity of you. Does that make sense? Do it with people that are strangers. Do it with people that barely know you. Do it with people that has no consequence. Say hi to another person. They can laugh at you. They can swear at you. They can say whatever. But there's no real consequence there, is it? What's the worst thing they can do? Give you a weird look. So that's the way I practiced it, guys. And dyslexia and self-esteem does not have to stop you. I've heard so many people, so many stories about their son, their brother, their boyfriend, whoever, saying he's such an alright. Just need to believe in himself more, believe that he can do it, and that person is alright because they're thinking about all the negatives. Because yes, they have crap things happen to them, but they always focus on it. They use that for a reason why they can't do it. But if you really start working on them, really building yourself up, building your confidence, building your self-esteem up, that's the start of the route where everything else will grow. Make one little progress in one area, it will transpire into loads of other areas. So I really feel this is so important key. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching and I'll see you all again soon.